Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to Stormgate Central, and today we have our third game in the quarterfinals of the Alpha Navigators Cup, and we are going to be seeing Captain Alex go up against Snoxtar. So his name in-game is actually Photon Cannon's Enjoyer, but apparently he goes by Captain Alex. Outside of that, don't really know all too much about Captain Alex. He did finish, I can see here, 306th on the leaderboard, not in the frigate playtest, which is the one you're currently watching here, but in the one before that. Unfortunately, the leaderboards for frigate have been lost to the sands of time. Snoxtar, on the other hand, our infernal player here, he finished number 5 on the leaderboard, so pretty impressive there from him. He also took part in the EGCTV Stormgate Open playoffs, and he was actually the second highest infernal player on the leaderboard just after parting. So Snoxtar definitely, I would say, favored to win here, but we're going to have a good game in our hands. So we've got Captain Alex coming out with a barracks opener here and a biokinetics lab. So he is looking to do some bio play. Snoxtar, on the other hand, I do believe we saw him opening with an iron vault, so he's probably looking to get out on the map and start taking some of those creep camps. By the way, guys, I do apologize if you can hear any hammering and banging in the background. It's Sunday here for me, and just as I've sat down to have a nice recording session, my neighbor has decided it's time for him to do some bathroom renovations. So there you go, them's the breaks, that's how it goes sometimes. But Captain Alex is doing a good job being out on the map here, looking like he wants to take this Luminite creep. Snoxtar, in the meantime, throwing down his expansion. Snoxtar, a Polish player, and Captain Alex coming from Ukraine. We are, of course, playing on Broken Crown here. This is always going to be the first map in this particular tournament, and then I believe it's loser's pick after that. So who knows what we're going to see next. In the map pool, we do have Boneyard. We've also got the Isle of Dread, two of the slightly larger maps that came with the frigate playtest. We've got Lost Hope, which is the 4-player map that we saw in yesterday's cast, and then we've got the good old Secluded Grove. So, Captain Alex looks like he's going to get a scout here. Check. Yeah, he's doing exactly that. Checking whether the expansion is up there. Again, we saw that a couple of days ago. Mixu doing the exact same thing. Really abusing that cliff, actually using the scout's pinging ability there to see up the cliff. And he used atlases and hedgehogs to snipe up there. This time around, though, we have the expansion way more inwards for Snoxtar, so that's not going to be an issue, but nevertheless, you can still use the scouts that way to actually ping up the cliff and see if there is an expansion. He's going to run in here, though, and see what's what. He sees a couple of brutes. He sees most likely the Iron Vault there, and so we really don't know what kind of tech we're going to see coming out of Snoxtar. Is it going to be Magmadons? Is it going to be Hellborn? We don't really know. Maybe even some Weavers. And he is soon going to start to saturate the second there. Only one worker there for the time being. But Captain Alex, we're going to see what he wants to do. Does he want to attack and be aggressive? Or is he going to go and get out an expansion of his own? My lord, those scouts just absolutely shred, don't they, when they're at full veterancy. For any of you guys who played during the summer, the Next Fest on Steam, when the game was free to play, they've changed the veterancy mechanics in Frigate somewhat, so now you gain veterancy bonus way faster than you used to. So just by going out on the map and creeping around, not only are you gaining those resources from the creep camps and capturing the towers themselves, but you're also gaining a bunch of veterancy. So leaving the Vanguard player unchecked to go out on the map in this way is actually really dangerous, and those scouts could come back to bite Snoxtar in the butt a little bit later on in this game. Of course, you've also got the new rank up top bar ability that lets you like manually spend your energy to increase the veterancy of your units. So Captain Alex has just answered his expansion here with one of his own. It's going to be a little bit later than Snoxtar's, but that's pretty typical in Vanguard versus Infernals. He wants to see and make sure that nothing weird is going on. That is a lot of upgraded scouts there, though, so he has to be careful, Snoxtar, that he has brutes in good positions, and he knows that. He's got 3 brutes there in the Luminite line, so there aren't going to be any effective run-bys by Captain Alex here with the scouts. Doing a great job of poking his nose in the door, though, and just checking what Snoxtar is up to, and that looks like a ritual chamber coming down there. So I think it is going to be Weavers coming out of him here, unless it's going to be some kind of flame imp play. Very interesting stuff. You know, since Snoxtar is so much on the defense here, I mean, he's just sitting back, right? A third is coming down This is interesting. So a third coming down now for Captain Alex. Snoxtar, he's sitting back on the defense. He's not worrying. He knows Captain Alex is out on the map. He knows that he's taking all of the resources. He's taking all of the observation creeps. He's taking the entire map. He has entire map control right now, but he's not worried about it at all. And it makes you ask the question, why is that? Surely he's got some kind of a timing attack coming here. He is now going through the trees, I can see, to take a third of his own. So, question is he going to be doing some kind of a push or an attack behind this? The tournament that I mentioned earlier, the EGC TV Cup, that was pretty much dominated by Parting. For those of you who aren't familiar, Parting has pretty much dominated the leaderboards on every single Stormgate test so far. He's also an Infernal player, and a very good one. And he had this very common tactic of taking a third and then doing a push out with Flame Imps. Now, Flame Imps have definitely been changed somewhat since the Frigate playtest came along. And of course, you may remember if you saw some of those games that he also coupled that with a Harbinger, and he would do these gaunt drops across the map. Things are very different in Frigate now. The Doombringer, or rather the Harbinger, I get the name confused because they've changed the name of it back and forth so many times. It's called the Harbinger though now, so this is the dropping unit for the Infernals. It is now built from the Twilight Spire and not from the Conclave anymore, so you don't just need to get the upgraded Greater Spire, you also have to build a Twilight Spire, and so that's why we're seeing so much less drop play. On top of that, of course, the Gaunts no longer have the ability to infest their targets, so that whole Gaunt drop play has completely died off, I would say, in the Frigate playtest here. So that's not what we're going to see out of Snoxtar. Question is, what are we going to see? Right now, Captain Alex just has this bunch of scouts. I would be interested to have a peek in his base and see whether he is going to tech up into Vulcans here and get some bioplay on the go, because he does have the biokinetics lab there. He must have gotten it for the Beryllium Claws to upgrade the scouts, which makes them do, I believe, around 10 extra damage to light targets, so very, very effective when you are out and about on the map creeping. Also very effective if you happen to get into the enemy's Luminite line and do some damage. And there we see double mech bay. So this is likely going to be some heavy Vulcan play coming out here. We've also got a medtech, and he's probably going to be using the Nano Swarm ability of the medtech to keep those Vulcans up and alive. Wait a second, what is this? There is actually a Harbinger coming in here. Just as I said this wasn't going to happen, it happens. Is he actually going to do a Gaunt drop here? What is inside? Okay, yeah, he's got a few Gaunts. He's also got a Brute in there. And he's got the Hexen laying down the miasma. So this is kind of a new thing here, right? Instead of infecting with the Gaunts, he's actually infesting, I should say, the units with the miasma there. And then he's going to try and get some picks off with the Brutes. But the defense by Captain Alex here is absolutely perfect. And I don't think he barely even lost a worker there. Very interesting use of Nano Swarm. You don't often see Nano Swarm used on the Scouts. A lot of people mistake the Scouts for biological units. Nano Swarm, of course, heals mechanical units, or it will damage enemy mechanical units in a radius around the unit that it's cast on. Kind of like Irradiate, I guess, a little bit, you know, from the Zerg StarCraft, only clearly that doesn't heal your units. But the Scouts are actually mechanical units in this game, so the Vulcans with the Scouts are all going to get healed by the Nano Swarm. So that's not something you see every day. Vulcan Scout, very interesting combination here out of Captain Alex, and we're going to see how effective it's going to be against whatever Snoxtar decides to throw out. He does still have the Ritual Chamber, hasn't really used it to any effect yet, and he is going to poke back in here again. The bombs have now used the overcharge, couple of miasmas going down, and all of those bombs are now infected, but unfortunately, he just doesn't have enough units there to dish out any DPS to the bombs and take any of them out. That's probably going to be it for him for the meantime, because that overcharge is going to be coming off of cooldown, and next time he pokes in, the overcharge will then be ready, and he's unlikely to get anything done with that. Wait, where's the Harbinger gone now? Has he gone? Oh, he's probably teleported it back home, I guess. So Snoxtar now taking a 4th shrine. Going to be keeping things going. He does have the Twilight Spire, of course, up there, which he used to build the Harbinger. Actually going down now in the main. Again, not really seeing much damage. He's definitely being annoying, and he isn't really using or losing too many units here either. But he's not really getting the economical damage that I think he was looking for on Captain Alex. And Captain Alex has already taken a 4th of his own. And as the Infernal player, you know, ideally you really want to be at least a base ahead of the Vanguard player. So he's just going to hang out with the Harbinger there. There is a teleport ability on the Harbinger where you can send it back home to one of your shrines. But he's going to choose to just keep it down there in the corner as a constant threat. And here it comes again into the main, infecting all of those mobs instantly with the miasma and another one. But there's this repair turret and it's just doing such a great job of healing up all the dot damage on the mobs there. And I mean, they just heal themselves, right? So it's really just not very effective to come in and do that. I think you need like a double Harbinger drop to actually have some of the units to do some damage to the mobs and take some of them out quick enough so that they don't get the chance to repair up. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Vulcans, and I think around 7 medtechs as well. That army from Captain Alex is beginning to look extremely scary. I really love this just all-in Vulcan medtech with the scout play here. I'm very interested to see how this engagement is going to look. Is he going to take the scouts and go around the back, try and take out some of the gaunts? We've seen the Hellborn has been the choice now for Snoxtar, and he is going to start to move his way across the map. He said, I've had enough. I've got to do something about these bases that Captain Alex is taking here. Question is, are the Hellborn going to be able to take out this many Vulcans? Honestly, I don't think so. Vulcans are incredibly strong units in this game, and with Nano Swarm, even more so. Oh my god, beautiful miasma though, right on the army here, and more of them coming down. He really needs to take out those Hexans, and Snoxtar is just abusing the high ground here. I don't know if Captain Alex has the jump jets upgraded. The scouts are actually coming into the 4th here of Snoxtar, so they're maybe going to get a little bit of economic damage done there, but he's actually going to do this, man. He's taken out all of the Vulcans. I don't think he lost a single Hellborn, and he couldn't quite take out the Hexans, so that miasma is actually an ability that has to be channeled. It's not just a cast, and once you've got the cast off, it stays there. You have to continually channel it as long as you have the energy with the Hexans. So if you can get to the Hexans and take them out, then it's kind of GG. But if you can't, and he played it beautifully there, Snoxtar staying on the high ground, those Hexans just continue to channel. And remember as well, the miasma does increase the damage that you take from Infest by 700%, so the dot damage that starts to tick there can be really, really high. But Captain Alex did hold that off pretty nicely. He had some more Vulcans come out and reinforce, but the threat is far from over. We still see Snoxtar up on that high ground. I would have liked to see the scouts actually come around from the back and, you know, loop around and come and do a bit of a flanking maneuver on the Hellborn, but it seems that Snoxtar's the guy who's got flanking in mind here. He's going to go and land in this 3rd position, or 4th position, I guess you could say, of Captain Alex's base here. Not really getting anything out there at the moment. Just, you know, looming over him, being a bit of a annoying pest. Going to have another little bit of a poke there, but I don't think either player, knowing how the last engagement went, I don't think either of them are particularly incited to engage with the other one. It is pretty even here. I think that if Captain Alex would have been on even ground with Snoxtar, then he well could have taken that fight. So he isn't going to go and engage here, but Snoxtar's coming down to the 4th here. There aren't really too many defenses up on the high ground. There is a buzzsaw cannon, there's a mech bay, probably producing a Vulcan right now. The only problem with Vulcans, you see, is that they're incredibly slow. Medtechs are also very slow. And I mean, the Infernal Army is quite slow as well, but Snoxtar is still going to abuse the fact that Captain Alex is way out of position now, and if he's not careful, he's going to lose this entire base. You can see that the Hellborn can actually just shoot up on the high ground here because of the vision, so they are well out of harm's way. In fact, there comes the jump jets forward here from Captain Alex. I would have actually liked to see him send some of these Vulcans down on the low ground, because once you get on top of the Hellborn, you can do great damage, but he is just losing all of the Vulcans here, and I'm starting to think that maybe pure Vulcan is not the way. Maybe he needs a bit of Lancer support in there with those Vulcans and the Medtechs to go alongside them. And this base is going down here. And GG, first game is going to go to Snoxtar. So moving on to game number 2 of this best of 3, we are playing on Lost Hope, the first, well, the one and only at the moment 4-player map in Stormgate. So we do have crossspawns here. Going to be very interesting to see which direction these players scout. I fully expect Snoxtar to scout down to the south, Oh, he's actually scouting over to the top side of the map here. He's not going to find Captain Alex there, of course, so there aren't going to be any crazy rushes, I don't think, coming out of either player here. Obviously, a very, very large map, lots of easy expansions to take. You've got a Luminite mine and Ethereum patch in the corner, which is very easy to take, and then there's also a pure Luminite expansion close by, and then you can see in the middle of the map, kind of the iconic feature of this particular map is that there is just a ton of Ethereum surrounding that observation creep camp. So, Captain Alex has, of course, found Snoxtar. Fully expecting both of these players here to be going expansion pretty early on. Obviously not an expansion first. But this is definitely going to be more of a macro game than anything else, I feel. Same old build from Snoxtar coming out, though, here. He is going to go for the Iron Vault first. And Captain Alex is going for the barracks and a habitat. Getting that Lancer out on the map. See, the difference kind of with Stormgate, and I feel these creep camps, is that whilst in other games, going for that economical lead with expansion first is kind of usually the play, especially on large maps like this. You would expect that maybe Captain Alex would have just saved off and gone command post first, Snoxtar would have done the same with the Shrine, but actually these creep camps can be so effective in gaining you those extra resources that in actuality, getting a barracks out, getting that Lancer out to go alongside the scout and just start creeping and taking these towers turns out to be more of an effective economical lead than going expansion first. So definitely something to keep in mind there. Guys, if you are enjoying the cast here on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Lots more to come here on Stormgate. Not only casts, of course, but we are going to be doing plenty of guides on the game once early access hits on the 30th of July. And of course, I will keep you guys up to date with all of the Stormgate news as usual. So if that is something you enjoy, hitting the subscribe button is always a way that you can make me happy and help me beat that algorithm. And your support is ever so much appreciated. So thank you guys so much for that. So Captain Alex is just going to continue to creep here. I have noticed a little bit of a difference here in his play compared to Mixu. I noticed Mixu seems to be a big fan of going for the Ethereum camps when he plays Vanguard, and I suppose that's because he wants to go for some of the early upgrades, and he prefers to keep his workers on the Luminite mine and get that expansion up a little bit faster there. Captain Alex here, on the other hand, though, he is going to be going and taking those Luminite towers, so we'll see how that works out for him. There are some fiends coming down, though, now. I really like this play from Snoxtar. He knows that the creep camps have been cleared at those two positions, so all he needs to do is send one fiend to either of them, and he's starting to cap it. And that's just such a pain for Captain Alex, because he has these slow, lumbering lancers that take forever to traverse across this massive map. And so if he wants to go back down here and take it, well, it's going to really, you know, take a large chunk of time out of that lancer's day. Whereas for the fiend, very, very quick, very mobile, no problem at all. So we're still just on the 1-0 Iron Vault Conclave out of Snoxtar here at the moment. So pretty standard stuff here, nothing out of the ordinary for either player. I do wonder what Captain Alex is going to decide to do for this one, though. Is he going to go for the Mech Bay play again? He is upgrading on the Biokinetics Lab, most likely the Lancer upgrade. So the question is he going to go into some more heavy bio play, or is he going to transition into Lancer and Vulcan? The Ritual Chamber, again, now coming down for Snoxtar, so probably going to be going for those Hellborn once again. We do have Captain Alex sitting up one base here, so it looks like he's just taken the third base in the corner. Of course, this map here has three pretty easily taken bases, right? You've got the one in the corner with the Ethereum, and then you've got the one just up on the ramp there outside of your main base with the Luminite only, but then there's also a fourth base, which is on the same level as your ground base. It's just quite a distance away, and it's actually surrounded by trees, so it's really, it seems to be like the same plot of land, if you will, as your main base. But of course, those trees can always be taken down by a stampeding Magmadon. So as a Vanguard player, you definitely want to be wary of that from the Infernals. You can see the trees on the right there. It's just so easy for a Magmadon to trample through there and go and snipe this 4th base, and it looks like Captain Alex is actually going to go and take a 4th here at 5 minutes and 28 seconds of this game, which is pretty ballsy. Like, I know this is a macro map, but let's see if this pans out for him. Like I said in the last game, you know, the Infernal player preferably wants to be 1 base up, and at the moment he's 1 base behind. In fact, I think he's only just gotten his 3rd up and running in the corner there. No, it's not even up and running yet, and these imps are pacing back and forth for some reason. So, going to be interesting to see if Captain Alex can get this massive death ball of Lancer Vulcan out and do the unimaginable, or if Snoxtar is going to come and do something about this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that Harbinger play out of Snoxtar again. He seems to enjoy that. Maybe he's going to be going for the double Hexen, double Miasma play again there. I do like that play, putting the meat farm by the trees there, so if any, you know, Vulcans come charging through there and there's any flanking shenanigans, he knows about that straight away. So a scout's going to come through here and try and get a read on what Snoxtar is doing, but it's of course scouted by the tower, and he sends brutes down to deal with it. Oh! He's not paying attention, I don't think. Yeah, he's lost that scout. So, did he see the ritual chamber up on the high ground there? Not 100% sure. And that is a Twilight Spire coming up in the main. So, we are going to see, most likely, the Harbinger once again. I would like to see him maybe change it up, though. I would love to see him bring out 2 Harbingers with 2 Hexens with double Miasma, a couple of Brutes, and then a bunch of Gaunts to really start taking down some of those Bobs and help things snowball, because once the Bobs pop that overcharge especially, even though that Miasma infects them all and it makes the Infest do 700% more damage, against the Bobs' armor and their repair ability, it just doesn't seem to be enough. I love the mines. He's put the Venom mines, or the Venom traps, down in the natural layer as well, so those will of course pop and infest any units that step over them, and here comes the Harbinger. Let's see what Snoxtar's able to do with this. Looks like he's going to be going to his 3rd. Most likely trying to snipe off some of the Therium workers there. Therium, of course, well, very important for every faction in the game, but especially so for Vulcans. It looks like he's got exactly the same thing inside there. 2 Cabals, 2... Yeah, he's got 2 Brutes, 2 Hexens. I don't know why I keep calling them Cabals. I meant Hexens. Double Miasma going down here on the Bobs, but the overcharge comes out and they're getting auto repairs off on each other, and now the army's just going to come up and clean this up, and he's going to lose one of the Hexens here and one of the Brutes, so not really that great. He did get a couple of kills. You can see he's got 3 Fiends now, so he got 3 Bobs there. But, you know, he also lost a Hexen and he lost a Brute, so was that really worth it when you're up against an opponent that has 4 command posts? I mean, he's going to be able to rebuild those 4 Bobs in no time at all there, so... Yeah, these drops, you know, neither in the last game nor this game have they been particularly effective, but they are still a nuisance, right? Him just threatening, that means that Captain Alex is going to have to keep some units back at home just in case these drops ever come in. The Harbinger, by the way, also does have a teleport ability. It can teleport to any one of the shrines. So at this point, I don't think Captain Alex actually knows, has the Harbinger teleported back home, or is it still there lingering? And it looks like he's in the base right now. Yeah, he's dropped back in again here. Got 1 Bob, 2 Bobs, 3 Bobs. Oh, this is much better now with the Fiend and the Gaunts coming in here. I think he got about 5 Bobs there. Almost certain Captain Alex thought that this Harbinger was gone and he had teleported away. That is really a sneaky position, isn't it? Just hovering up there, literally at the corner of the map. Kind of funny that you can you can see that in the game. Like, the terrain doesn't kind of slope away or anything. You can just see, like, the actual edge of the map. That's probably going to change in the future, though. So, sneaky base coming up for Snoxtar there in the top left of the map. That's probably going to go undetected for quite a while at least. But again, he's doing a great job of abusing the lack of mobility of Captain Alex's army with this Harbinger. He does have a Hedgehog down there now. I do like that from him. Deployed in anti-air mode. So if that Harbinger tries to poke in, it's going to get sniped off. There is now a second Harbinger out, so are we going to see some double Harbinger drops here? Possibly in 2 locations at once. There's also an evac coming out for Captain Alex, so maybe Vulcan drops in the resource line of Snoxtar here. Snoxtar is going to be moving forward, though, with this Harbinger in his army, so he may just well be wanting to drop that down to create Shroud and keep his army topped off there with the white health. Now he's going to run upon the scrapyard here for Captain Alex. This is one of the nice things about the Vanguard. They can just go and plonk down a scrapyard somewhere and start harvesting Therium, unlike the other 2 races where, well, at least for the Infernals, one of the main drawbacks of them is that you have to have a Shroud. It's the only building you can return Therium to. But big engagement coming down here. Massive miasmas on the army once again. But great shields coming out from Captain Alex. And what is happening here? The units are just kind of on hold position. And they're all just stood around. What? Like, the Lancers weren't moving there at all. But they've done actually a pretty decent job of holding this off. I think a few Shadow Flayers just came in there and hit the evac. So it looks like he got too busy microing against that. He had his units on hold position. Unfortunately, he had all of them on hold position, so he kind of just lost a lot of his Lancers there in the main meat of the army. But he did survive with 5 Vulcans, which did not happen before, and he's able to micro a couple of them back there with the evac. And he's going to go and repair all of these up with the sentry post. So not taking those Vulcans out, but getting them so low, that's got to hurt, man. That has to be painful for Snoxtar, because the more Vulcans are added to Captain Alex's army, the more powerful he's going to get. Once you get like a critical level of Vulcans, you will just melt through that Infernal army. Snoxtar doing a nice job here, going to be scouting down low. He realizes, after having taken some bases up top of his own, well, he thinks maybe Captain Alex has done the same thing. Luckily for him, he's not. He's actually stayed on 4 base, so I kind of feel like he came out with this economical advantage, getting 4 bases up so early, but he didn't like really seem to micro up and go out and push out and do any sort of attack with it. He just sat back home, and Snoxtar has now, well, more than caught up, because he has 4 bases in the main, and then a 5th and a 6th base. In fact, I think he has 7 bases. He's taken all 3 of them up there in the top left, but there is 10 barracks coming out now for Captain Alex, so a massive tech switch going on, it looks like. And he's going to be getting a lot of Lancer, possibly Exos out there as well, which should do nicely against the Hellborn. And here we go, straight in through the trees. Captain Alex does not have any scouting of this. He is likely going to lose all of these bobs and the command post itself here at the expansion. And that slow army is just not going to be able to respond in time. The bobs are dead. The command post is going down. The army is trickling in. But is this army now going to get trapped? The miasma going down there preemptively. That Hellborn has to be careful, though, reinforcing there from the right. If the Vulcans do have the jump jet upgrade, they could easily get over there and snipe it. I'm kind of surprised right now to not see him boosting forward and targeting down some of these Hellborn. There we go, finally the boost forward, and he's going to go give chase. This is probably one of the most awkward fights I've seen. These Vulcans can't quite seem to catch the Hellborn, and the Hellborn are just slowly crawling away from the Vulcans and then turning around and firing. Of course, both of these units meant to sort of be in the back line here, not quick microable units. But he does clear out all of the Hellborn there, so pretty heavy losses for Snoxtar. Once again, Captain Alex has survived with all of the Vulcans, and those numbers are just going to continue to grow and grow. In fact, I really like this barrack switch out of him, because at this point he has enough Vulcans. He doesn't really need any more. What he does need is a meat shield in the front of his army. Flayed Dragon now coming out, and he actually has very little in terms of air defense. Luckily, he's just gotten a bunch of Exos out of those barracks, so he is going to be able to take down that Flayed Dragon, but it's only just come out in the nick of time. In fact, if Snoxtar would have had this Flayed Dragon a little bit earlier, he could have probably won the previous engagement against those Vulcans. So it does indeed look like the Therium has been mined out for the most part, probably on both sides. So as the Therium does get mined out, this is going to favour the Vanguard, because once again they can just build those scrapyards and send over a bunch of bobs. Not so easy for the Infernals, who have to build a shrine in the middle of the map, and it takes a long time to build, and it can be easily sniped off as well. So some of these southern bases now coming out for Captain Alex. I would have thought he would want to go for some of the ones in the corner with the Therium. Some Exos now being caught off guard by the Fiends there. Really have to be careful about those. Reinforcing units can be caught out in the open. And the Flayed Dragon is going to go and poke straight into this base again. It's just been built back by these Bobs, and he's going to snipe this thing off again. And make no mistake, these Fiends do so much damage to buildings. Once they get the wraparound there, it doesn't take them that long at all to take down the command center. I mean, look at that. It's already at half health, and now it's dead. And he's going to get out of there with the Flayed Dragon. He's losing the Fiends, but who cares? He sniped off an expansion. But this is a very scary looking army here, and the army of Snoxtar is just tiny in comparison to this Vanguard army. Now, the Miasma is going to do incredible work against those Exos. They are indeed biological units, and you can just see how drained they're getting here. There are only 3 medtechs in this army, so that is nowhere near enough to keep all of these Exos healed and healthy. The Flayed Dragon survives, but the rest of the army doesn't, and I do wonder now if it is the time for Captain Alex to push across the map and get this done. Can he tie this game up to a 1-1? He really is losing his advantage here, but again, you know, this slow army, by the time you've gotten across the map, it's really, really tough going in this situation against the Infernals, because by the time you get there, they've already created an entirely new army, and this southern base is going to be found by Snoxtar. I think one of the drawbacks here for Captain Alex is that he's not really been able to get off any kind of flanking, any drops, anything of the sort. He's just had his one big army in the middle of the map, which is incredibly powerful, but it's been kept at bay by the Infernal army of Snoxtar, and meanwhile, he's been dropping with Harbingers, he's been doing Fiend run-bys, he's been denying expos, Captain Alex has just not been doing the same thing. Snoxtar has gotten all of these expansions across the top of the map, and if he actually keeps on playing the way he has been, he may well be able to eke out an advantage and overall come up with a win, even though Captain Alex's army looks to be far superior at the moment. So he does look like he's gearing up for a push here. Big army coming up in the middle of the map. Snoxtar is now starting to take the corners, so he's even encroaching onto Captain Alex's side of the map. And he is very low on expansions. He's just now put a command post down on that 4th position again, but the Fiend run-by again from Snoxtar coming straight in there, and he's going to deny this again, dude. There's just nothing he can do about it. The army is far too slow. Why, at this point, does he not have some units over at that 4th position defending there when he knows the trees are down and Fiends are free to run in? He really needs to be splitting the army. He even got some Fiends down close to the production structures there, so... Oh, man, I feel so bad. Like, I've been in this position before, and it is so frustrating, but Snoxtar is just doing such a great job making Captain Alex run all over the map. Flayed Dragon may be caught out of position, but even that is too fast for this army. The Exos, of course, only benefiting from the quick draw hustle upgrade when they fire, so as long as they don't get any shots off. But big engagement coming down now, Miasma going down, another massive Miasma right underneath the Exos, and the Hellborns are doing insane damage, and a lot of the Vulcans here at the back, they can't get forward enough. He really, oh my god, look at that insane Infest explosion. All of the Exos go down, and that is going to be a GG. 2-0, Snoxtar takes it. Man, talk about a snowball mechanic. You can just see as soon as the Miasma kills a bunch of those Exos and the Fiends pop out, they almost instantaneously kill the rest of the Exos because they're so low on health, and then they pop out more Fiends, and I mean, that is literally the definition of snowball right there. So, well played to Snoxtar. I hope you guys enjoyed this cast here on the channel. So Snoxtar is going to be going up and playing whoever wins the next game, and that one is going to be between Theory and Kel, both Infernal players. That one will be coming here to the channel soon, so if you aren't already, make sure that you are subscribed. Thank you guys so much for watching the video here today. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time.